Hey friends, it's Nabeela and welcome back to Reimagine Success, where we unpack our relationship with work, ambition, and what it really means to thrive in today's world. In this episode, I want to take you inside a story that starts with a bold prediction from IKEA's founder and ends with me rage Googling JSON errors at 2 a.m. I thought I was just experimenting with AI, but what actually happened was part rom-com, part cautionary tale, and part revelation about the future of work and who gets to build it. This is the story of how I tried to build an app with AI and ended up rebuilding my entire perspective on accessibility and technology and what it means to stay relevant in a world that's moving faster than ever. All right, let's get into it. Back when I worked at IKEA, the founder, Ingvar Kamprad, famously made a bold declaration. People are not going to buy furniture sitting on the toilet. He meant it. He didn't believe people wanted to sit on the toilet and shop for a couch. And because of that belief, for years, he resisted IKEA's evolution into an e-commerce retailer. Despite his brilliance as a business leader, he genuinely believed there were limits to what people would do with technology. Eventually, IKEA's leadership team and board were able to convince him otherwise. However, by then, many global retailers had already been in the e-commerce business game, and IKEA was playing catch-up. Not only did phones make it into the bathroom, unfortunately, they have made it everywhere. We shop, grieve, date, bank, and build almost everything through a screen. Technology hasn't stayed in its lane, it's taken the wheel. And now it feels like those were the easy days, the calm before the AI acceleration. From assistant to builder. If you're like most professionals, you're already using AI to augment your work. It's helping you synthesize data, transcribe your Zoom meetings, summarize 300-page board decks, provide you with templates for emails, job descriptions, and social media posts. You're prompting your way into a pretty committed relationship. But here's the challenge. You need to move from using AI as an assistant and start to use it as a co-founder. And that's exactly what I spent the first 2 days of this week doing. I just wanted to see how far I could go. So here's a little backstory. Most of my time is spent advising, coaching, and consulting high-achieving professionals. And I'm constantly shocked by how few of them have an actual life development plan. So I've created my own framework, a Google form, a set of assessments, and some structured reflection tools I walk clients through. One of my ambitions has been to turn that process into a simple, accessible app. Now, I have an amazing web team, talented designers, developers, and copywriters. I could have just as easily called them to kick off a statement of work. But I was curious. I just wanted to see how far I could get with a natural language AI app development tool. Just me, my documents, and a bit of courage. A few YouTube tutorials later, I landed on Bolt, a no-code AI app builder. I started feeding Bolt everything I had: assessments, Google Sheets, customer personas, a brand book, and real content, not just ideas. And I quickly got prompted that my project was pretty large and that I needed more tokens. Okay, no problem, I thought. The honeymoon phase. At first, it felt like magic. Bolt started building screens, mapping flows, and creating an onboarding logic. I wrote in my own voice with real user interfaces, everything being populated on my screen and on my phone simultaneously. No developers, no meetings, no fighting over tech resources or tech budgets. I kept thinking about all those boardroom discussions about how to prioritize our tech roadmap, arguments about tech resources, and how to divide scarce talent. This could eliminate all of that noise. So I kept typing as screen after screen got added to my app, just me and AI vibing. I thought I was falling in love. I thought I was unstoppable. But a few hours later, things got complicated. I couldn't get my AI API to work no matter what I tried. Then there was this endless terminal errors and the evil red exclamation marks. Before I knew it, I had one screen open with Bolt full of bugs and another one with ChatGPT trying to troubleshoot what had gone wrong. I was copying code back and forth, asking ChatGPT to coach me through fixing it. When it told me to open the developer console, I knew I was in trouble. I kept reminding ChatGPT that I was not a developer, that I had never done this before, that I needed it to explain things to me like I was a 5-year-old. The breakup came early. Suddenly, my workflow stopped completely. The logic was glitching. I couldn't get past a white screen. I tried everything: ChatGPT, Claude, Google, YouTube tutorials, even whispering sweet nothings to my JSON like, "Come on, baby, don't do this to me." Nothing worked. So I did what any rational person would do in a moment of digital crisis. I gave up on Bolt and I tried a different tool. Bolt and I were on a temporary breakup as I moved over to Glide. Now, Glide promised to make things even easier. Just upload a bunch of Google Docs and it would do the rest. Glide was a liar. Glide catfished me into the sweet videos and promised a bright future, but it was very obvious that Glide was not as good as Bolt, and I didn't even experience the initial euphoria that came with a new relationship. I quickly canceled my Glide subscription and did the only thing left to do after a day and a half and a lot of heartbreak. I called my development team. Full 911 mode, phone a friend, summon Batman. The developer debrief. We jumped on a Zoom and I walked them through my rom-com meets horror film relationship with Bolt, the infatuation, the crash, the ghosting. And to my surprise, they were impressed. Honestly, you got pretty far, one of them said. They weren't threatened. They weren't skeptical. They were curious, even excited. Yeah, we're already using tools like this, one of my DevOps guys said. It's going to make development exponentially cheaper. Sure, it'll replace parts of what we do, but we'll all have to evolve and do other things. That's how tech works. They weren't scared. They were already evolving, already augmenting, and then retooling and reskilling themselves. They were adaptive. These folks had a remarkable growth mindset because they know that the real game isn't resisting the wave, it's about learning how to surf it. The democratization of creation. As someone who sits on the board of a tech incubator, I couldn't help but think about what this means, not just for seasoned engineers, but for early stage founders, especially women and underrepresented groups. There are so many people with brilliant ideas who can't afford to bootstrap a $50,000 digital product. But now, natural language AI tools and others are collapsing that barrier. They're making it possible, not necessarily easy, but possible to get an MVP off the ground for a fraction of the cost. And just like the World Wide Web and the dot-com boom, these tools, as flawed as they are, have the potential to be great equalizers. But let's be clear, the process still matters. Even if the tool gets faster, the thinking behind them still matters. One of the biggest risks associated with AI tools is the potential for a rabbit hole effect, because you can prompt your way into confusion if you're not grounded. That's why product thinking is still critical. Define the problem you're solving, map the customer journey, clarify who it's for and why it matters, decide what to leave out. These are the muscles that keep you focused, because honestly, it's easy to get obsessed. One day I found myself lying in bed putting my kids to sleep while trying to log into Bolt on my phone. That didn't work, by the way. Yes, I was the person in the dark whispering to the universe, just one more screen. The real shift isn't technical, it's psychological. I've been a chief HR officer and a chief operating officer. I've hired entire product teams and led billion-dollar transformations. And yet, in a matter of mere hours, I watched AI do imperfectly, but impressively, what it used to take weeks to do. I wrote onboarding flows, it built screen logic, corrected its own code, drafted a user journey, and gave me the beginning of a functioning prototype. That's not assistance, that's co-creation, and it changes everything. Thought leadership is cute. Real leadership is getting in the arena. In retail, one of the oldest principles we have is getting on the shop floor. Run the registers, stock the shelves, talk to the customers. And the same applies here. The biggest threat to leadership today is that it won't adapt fast enough. And that is likely very true. But you can help yourself by getting on the shop floor. You don't have to be an AI expert, but if you're still only dabbling in ChatGPT and reading consultancy reports, you're missing the point. Try building something, a basic agent, a rough app, a presentation even, powered by AI. Because there's a massive difference between reading about change and experiencing it in your own hands. Now what? I've handed my work in Bolt to the experts. They now have everything they need: a developer brief, a strategic identity, customer personas, AI system proposal, a brand book, and core MVP features. And they'll take it to the finish line. I didn't set out to become an expert, but I'm walking away with something even better, a greater perspective. So here's my advice. If AI hasn't yet made your brain hurt and humbled you in equal measure, you probably haven't gone deep enough. Learn what is possible and challenge your assumptions, because AI isn't just disrupting how we work, it's reshaping who gets to build, who gets to lead, and unfortunately, who may get left behind. And that should light a fire under you if it hasn't already. Until next time, take care of yourself and those around you. And yes, I know trying to build an app on my phone at night in the dark goes against everything that I preach. I am also still a work in progress. All right, folks, take care.